Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm JJ Flizanes, your host. So today's show is about how to get out of your own way. Do you even realize that you get in your own way? You may or you may not. But today's show is using the law of attraction and the use of frequency and vibration to define and figure out if you're getting in your way and how to stop doing it so that you can have the life you deserve. Enjoy the show. Today's show, how to get out of your own way. Do you wish life was easier? Do you wish certain aspects of your life were easier? Do you understand the terms allowing and resistance? Do you often feel overwhelmed? If those questions resonate with you, you're in the right place. Freedom Fridays has a law of attraction component to it. So whether or not you are familiar with the work of Abraham Hicks or the words and vocabulary of law of attraction, I will vacillate between words that we use in that realm and their counterparts in normal everyday language that everybody would understand. When I mention the word vibration, it means frequency. It also means emotion or energy. So first, I want you to ask yourself, think about an area of life where things are not working out the way you want them to. And think about how long you've tried, maybe different things that you've attempted, different scenarios of problem solving, so to speak. And just sort of have that in your consciousness as we go through the show so you can apply some of these principles and insights to that scenario. And maybe there's more than one scenario. So the first concept I want us all to collectively sit with is the idea that, like the sun that gives us light during the day, and the only way for you to block the light during the day is for you to go inside, shut the windows, the curtains, build a wall, be in a box, put yourself under your bed, close the door. You have to actively stop the light from shining when the sun is out. Well-being, love, pure positive energy, our non-physical piece of us, or God, is always there, just like the sun, and we have access to it 24/7. But what happens in our manifested physical reality is that we forget how much of us is non-physical. And we focus on just the physical parts. And we cut ourselves off. We pinch ourselves off from the well-being that's already there. So remember that like the sun. Think of that at all times, you have the ability to tap into a power greater than yourself. Although it is yourself, actually. It's yourself in non-physical energy, along with whatever word works for you, source, creator, God. It could be your past relatives and friends who are now non-physical energy, who are waiting to give you information and advice and encourage you and inspire you in directions you may not be open to because you have resistance. I'm going to read the definition of allowing from the back of the book, Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. Allowing, the state of alignment with the well-being that flows from source. The focusing of your attention upon things that cause you to offer a vibration that allows your connection to your natural source of well-being. Tolerating is a very different vibration from allowing. Tolerating is seeing what is not wanted, feeling the vibrational evidence of that perspective, but deliberately taking no action. Allowing is deliberately giving your attention only to that which causes a vibration of alignment with source. When you are in the state of allowing, you always feel good. So the first clue of whether or not you have resistance is how you feel about something. If there are subjects in your life where you have negative feelings about, and you are okay with that because you don't want anything more from those situations, in fact, you'd rather never look at them again, that's fine. There's no reason to have to work on that. But if there are areas in your life where you consider yourself to struggle, you think that I wish this was easier, and you try and try and try, and you have implemented many different strategies and problem solving, yet your energy, can you hear my energy? Try and try and try. The trying energy, the emotion under trying is desperation, disappointment, doubt, worry, discouragement. Those are all emotions and energies that block allowing. Allowing would be feeling joy, appreciation, empowered, freedom, love, passion, enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness, positive expectation, like you expect it to work out, optimism, hopefulness. Those are all emotions that are allowing. They have an open channel between you and non-physical, you and the sun. You get the light. But when you start with frustration and boredom and pessimism and disappointment and doubt and worry and blame, all of those emotions block you from allowing in what it is you've called in spiritually, energetically, whatever it is that you want. You want a relationship, you want money. You can't get them if you've pinched yourself off from all that is. So another way to notice whether or not you have resistance to something is your beliefs around it. And again, as long as you're content with the outcome and you don't want anything more from it, then I'm not going to try to convince you to have a different belief system about something. But I'm going to give you an example of a client that I literally just talked to yesterday who feels depleted in her energy because she's unhappy at work. Now she's got an exit strategy. Everyone knows she's leaving. She's got 2 months left, and she's finding herself very frustrated, and it's sucking the energy and life out of her, which is not helping her with her goals of exercise and eating well and happiness. Now, she's happy in other areas of her life, but the work issue is like a thorn in the side. Now, you can look at this and we can apply basic law of attraction principles. And I started off by saying, well, what is it that you can appreciate about this situation? And how can we use the contrast? How can we use what's happening that's not good to focus you, to remind you about what it is you do want? Anytime something happens to you, you can look at it as a tragedy. You could have victim consciousness around it and say, well, this happened to me, this terrible thing. That is one choice. And if that's something that you struggle with, that you do often, you find yourself taking everything that happens so hard. It's just really, really hard on you. I would encourage you to go back and listen to episode 121, which was Transforming Drama to Peace. Lynn Forrest was on the show. She'll be on the show 2 more times. And what we talked about was those roles that we are assessed and become in our family dynamics and in work situations and in our relationships. And though there are 3 roles: victim, persecutor, and rescuer. And those roles are almost like archetypes. And they show up in our family through modeling, through the pathology and the programming of generations of behavior and beliefs. So if you're stuck in that, then this conversation might be what you needed to hear in order to go listen to that show and see what you can clean up about victim consciousness and identifying. I'll tell you that I identified completely with the rescuer. And when I started looking at Lynn's work a year ago, and then I started doing a little bit of EMDR with another therapist locally here, I realized that I had absolutely the rescuer archetype, and I was on that victim triangle. And when people who I was trying to rescue would not behave in ways that I suggested and that I knew would be helpful for them, I became the victim emotionally of their lack of compliance. So I learned in the last year how to be a recovered rescuer. And that's been one of my greatest lessons in life, I think. In fact, that's why I think if you've heard any of the shows I've done about imago therapy, one is coming out tomorrow, episode 127, Becoming a Warrior for Love with Dr. Deborah Mandel. We discussed this a little bit, and we talked about it in a past show about the most effective kind of relationship therapy. And in terms of my lesson and the lesson that I needed to learn, and it being a really hard lesson. In fact, I think I can only imagine that there are so many other people that still struggle with feeling responsible for other people's outcomes. Because what ends up happening is your discomfort of their demise is what drives it. And learning to be comfortable with someone else failing, falling, or dying is not easy. But it's necessary in order to actively allow both yourself and the other person to be on their journey and to not get caught up in some of these crazy patterns of victimness that we all come in and out of. we all come in and out of victim consciousness. You may live on the triangle, you may be there all the time and you've never been off of it, but some of us who are off of it also come back on sometimes in our mind. It's just being able to be conscious of it and learning how to recognize it and then self-correct. So I have this client. She's very frustrated with her work situation. She's leaving. She's excited to leave, but it's zapping her energy to be there right now. And so we have a couple different choices of how we can handle this. The first one is to use what she appreciates about what's going on to see if we can ease the emotion. The most important factor of allowing versus resistance, of getting out of your own way, is finding ease. A lot of people think with law of attraction that they have to jump from depression to joy. That's not going to happen. Not right away. Especially because most people who've trained themselves into depression, or the stories that you keep yourself in, or the pathologies that you keep yourself wrapped up in, evoke such low-level emotions and fear. And so you've practiced that, so you're good at that. So introducing something new and different isn't going to automatically release all the resistance. So think of it like weight loss or releasing weight. It's not all going to come off in one day. It's going to be a little bit at a time. And sometimes you may hit a nerve, so to speak, or find an aha where you release a lot of resistance. It just happened to me, actually. But before I tell you my stories, I want to finish with this client. So the first thought is to say, well, you can start looking at what you appreciate about that. And that's absolutely going to work, 100% going to work. That's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do to release resistance is change your belief about it. This client happens to be an earth sign. She's someone who believes, and I know because I've worked with a lot of different astrological signs, this sign in particular, you Taurus people, they have a very strong should. Things should be in this certain way. The problem with should, besides the fact that Marshall Rosenberg considers it the most violent word we use, is that should indicates no choice, and should indicates agreement upon protocol or value. And the reality of it is nobody looks at the same thing and interprets it the same way. So first and foremost, when you walk into a situation with multiple people and energies and you automatically have a preconceived understanding or belief that things should go a certain way, you're automatically putting yourself in a victimized situation because you're not going to get everyone else to agree with you. Now, if they do agree with you, then you're golden. It'll never be a problem. But if you're unhappy because nobody else is following the rules the way that you think they need to be, then continuing to look at the situation with the same set of eyes, with the same belief, keeps you a victim. So the other thing you can do to help release resistance is change how you believe. The first is how you feel. The second is how you believe. The third is what you're focusing on. What am I focusing on? Am I focusing on this behavior, that thing that doesn't feel good, or that thing that evokes negative feelings in me? Or am I going to choose to give all of my attention just to the things that feel good? And I'm going to tune out, just like turning the volume down on the radio, I'm going to tune out what I don't like and what brings up resistance in me. So the first story that I'm going to share about allowing versus resistance, and I'm going to use it in a story that has to do with therapy, actually. My very first time using the therapy EMDR. EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitizing Reestablishment. Again, that's eye movement desensitizing reestablishment. And I was very specifically looking for somebody who could do this therapy with me on my insurance because I wanted more tools of things I couldn't do on my own. I had used hypnosis, and I think hypnosis is another amazing tool, and I continue to still use hypnosis. But I wanted more specific work that wasn't just conscious, because I am conscious and I can break this down. I'm like the therapist's dream. I send them I send the email and I outline all of my fears and negative things and positive things and what I understand and what I would like to believe. I do my homework. And so when I went to this very first person to do EMDR, I had very specifically told her I was coming to do EMDR. Well, we had 7 sessions, and in 7 sessions, we did it twice. Now, you may be thinking, well, maybe that's just how the protocol goes. Well, It doesn't have to go like that. It can go much faster. But what I didn't know, because I hadn't worked with a lot of people yet, is that there are just like trainers, right? Just like me, there's lots of different people that do it differently. Just because someone does EMDR doesn't mean that that style of EMDR is going to work for you, or their kind of therapy, or that personality is going to be a match. So long story short, we did 2 sessions, and in between every other session that we didn't do it, I'd send her an email and ask her, can we please do EMDR? Here's what I want to work on. Here are the 3 beliefs I want to shift. And I gave her everything she needed to have me walk in the door immediately and start doing EMDR. So what happened? Well, she's more of a right-brained kind of therapist, and she was lovely. And I think actually my higher purpose for meeting her was for me to share the law of attraction with her, because I gave her a couple CDs and she kept thanking me for them. She's like, this is really powerful work. So it's fun that I'm sharing that story here today on a Freedom Friday with Law of Attraction. So I think I was supposed to meet her to help her with Law of Attraction. And I'm serious, because she must have called to thank me so many times while I was still seeing her and she was listening to the CDs. So let's fast forward to it's the 7th session. We haven't done EMDR. I'm very frustrated. This is not working for me. I'm not getting what I'm paying for. I'm not getting what I wanted. I don't know how else to do it, because I don't feel comfortable walking into her office and and directing her. I'm telling her what I want, but I want her to lead me. She's the expert in this situation. So, I mean, I could have come in and put my foot down and said, okay, let's do EMDR right now. But that just didn't feel right. Didn't feel respectful. So now I'm done with the sessions. I've done 7 sessions. I've spent, $600, $700, $800. But I'm frustrated. When I think of the situation, I get agitated. Well, this is what I used to feel. And I felt empty. Like I didn't get what I wanted from that. And it, it wasn't like a whole lot of money, but it was enough money and enough of my time driving back and forth to Beverly Hills and parking and paying for parking. And just the desire I had to do the work, I didn't get what I wanted. And I really, really wanted my money back. But as a professional that works with people one-on-one, I never would have asked for it, because that's disrespectful. She gave me her time. It's on insurance. I don't know how much she's getting paid with the insurance with my check. And I don't know if it's even matches her normal hourly rate or not. And so I never in a million years, unless there was some really big problem, would I have ever asked for my money back. But what I wanted energetically was my money back, because I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get what I paid for. I felt like I gave 7 hours and I did not get the results that I wanted. Not even the results. I wasn't focused on the results. I was focused on just literally scratching the surface of doing what I asked, which was this type of therapy. So I walked around with that for a little while, and here's where I got out of my own way. And this is what I want you to take away from this story. So the problem is that the situation is that I went wanting a certain therapy to be done on me. And out of 7 times, we did it twice. I was unhappy. I walked away feeling like I didn't get what I wanted out of all the time and money that I spent. Now it's done, it's over, and now I'm left frustrated. I could walk away and say that's the end of that and continue to be frustrated, but I don't like feeling badly. And one of the ways that you can get out of your own way to manifest what it is you want is by taking that situation, and like I just said, the 3 steps were to focus on what you appreciate about the situation. You can change your belief and you can change your feeling. Those are the 3. So the first thing I did was to say, all right, I don't want to feel badly about this. So I'm going to think about, what did I get from it? I paid whatever, $600, $800. What did I get for my money? I know I got some things. I know I benefited in some way. So let's just highlight that. So that's what I did. And I went through every single session out loud with a friend and talked about each one of the different things that came out of the sessions with her, and something that I learned, an aha moment, an action step that I took. And when I was done, I thought, okay, I came up with about 8 different things. And I thought 8 different things in 7 sessions. Okay. So I eased my feeling about it. And therefore, I transformed my belief about it. And I wasn't as frustrated about it. And I didn't look at it as such a waste of time. I thought, okay, I got something. And I felt better. And then guess what happened? She called me up and said, your insurance company paid too much. So I can either give you credit for more sessions or I can write you a check. So I got all my money back, and she didn't even suffer. Everybody won. Win-win situation. The insurance company paid too much or more than she expected. I got my money back, 100% of it. I still felt better. Everybody wins. Now, let's look at your situation. What's the easiest thing for you to do? And I'm going to go over those 3 steps one more time in more detail so that you can look at the situation we talked about at the beginning of this show and see how you can get out of your own way and activate more allowing and decrease or eliminate the resistance. But before we get to that, I do need to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Do you love listening to audiobooks? Or do you think you'd read more if you could listen to them? Well, for you listeners, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. With over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. To download your free audiobook today, go to fit2lovebook.com. That's FIT2LOVE book.com to get your free audiobook with your free 30-day trial to Audible. If you're unhappy with your trial and you don't want to continue, you get to cancel before the 30 days are over and keep your free audiobook. It is 100% risk-free. So go to fit2lovebook.com. That's FIT2LOVEBOOK.com to get your free audiobook today. All right, to review the 3 ways to get out of your own way and to start more allowing and decreasing resistance are to look at what you appreciate about the situation. 2, change your belief about the situation. How can you look at it differently? And 3, change your feeling. So now go back to that situation that I asked you to think about in the front end of this show. And which one of those 3 can you apply right now? Is it possible for there to be things to appreciate? Since we're on a law of attraction day, contrast, which is problems, contrast allows us to focus. Contrast allows us to get specific. When you know what you don't want, you get to figure out what you do want. And actually, life is going to be more about contrast because you're going to be fine-tuning all the way so that you get the answers that you're searching for. So really, contrast, if you look at it as a tragedy, and not that I'm saying there's not tragedies and there's not really bad things that are, that require more time and attention, feeling and expressing and releasing negative, sad emotions. Absolutely. I'm just talking about the day-to-day stuff, whether it be money or little fights in relationships or things breaking. If you get really upset about things that break. I realized the other day that I grew up where when you would spill something, if you spilled something early on, it was a huge deal. Like, oh my God, and like all this energy spent in like drama about spilling something. And I remember thinking when I was young, that's no big deal. And so now when I'm cooking in my own kitchen and I spill something, which happens all the time, I chuckle, I laugh. Because it's not a big deal, right? So the contrast of someone freaking out about spilling something that could be easily cleaned up was the contrast for me to say, I don't like that, and I'm not going to do that. And so I don't do it. So you need contrast to fine-tune your life and to direct you in ways that let you know, I started out in business and I started with a model that I thought, worked for somebody else, so it's going to work for me, right? And then after doing it for 1.5 to 2 years, I realized I don't like it. And here's why I don't like it. And so now when I knew that, that's very valuable information. It's information I could not have figured out without going through it. So the contrast helps you to define, but you can appreciate the contrast. You can look at what happened that was frustrating and why that's going to help you in the future. You can change your belief about it. You can see if you're in victim consciousness about it. You can see it from someone else's point of view. You could take a broader point of view and look at it from a perspective of needs and feelings. We've talked about that several times on this show about nonviolent communication and effective communication and transforming limiting beliefs. And if you don't know that 3-step process, I would highly recommend that you find some of those shows to listen to because that is life-changing. And then the last step is to change how you feel. How can you find relief with the situation? How can you make peace with whatever it is you struggle with in order for you to get into a state of allowing? Unblock yourself, release the resistance. And it's not general resistance over everything in life. It can be situational. It can be something is going to hang out with people you don't like and figuring out, well, how can I make the best of this? And before you get there, make peace with it so you have a better allowing, and who knows, you may get exactly what it is you secretly want, but you're not going to get it when you walk in with resistance. So I hope that today there's been some inspiration about resistance and allowing, and I would love to hear if you have any tricks or tools or things that have worked for you, or some stories like I shared that was really a transforming moment for you about allowing and releasing resistance and changing the belief and changing the point of view. I'd love to hear about it. Please come over to fit2love.tv and find this show and let me know. And if this show inspired you or you think it's worth sharing, I would so appreciate you sharing it with as many people as you think it would help. And I thank you for being a part of the Fit to Love community. Have a fit and fabulous day. Thank you again for tuning in to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. If you're inspired and want more, come on over to fit2love.tv and check out our Freedom Fridays, or find us on iTunes. More at Fit to Love, physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness for the happy life you deserve.